at that awkward stage in my life where I'm very pro-weed, but when I used to work on Capitol Hill, I had top secret clearance, and I might go back to that world, and drug use is still a big-time no-no with clearance status. So I've been working on the questions as I used to remember them. I remember last time I went with a clearance officer, he wanted to know who was around me every time I did drugs. Now I'm going to say, hey, I thought the whole purpose of getting high was you were supposed to be so fucked up you couldn't remember anything. And then they'll always try to bring up international affairs, and they're probably going to say something like, what do you think about the Russian and Ukrainian battle for Kiev, the capital of Ukraine? And I'm going to say, hey, my wife's such a bad cook, when she made chicken Kiev, Putin called off the offensive. Now, what's really going to hurt me is I grew up in Annapolis, which was very conservative then. National Security Agency, Pentagon, they were all within 30 miles. And now I live in Chapel Hill, which is very progressive. And it's so progressive, the weed shops even support the Little League team. So, I mean, you look at the difference. In Annapolis, if you were with the drug community in any way, you get a pink slip. But Chapel Hill's so progressive, if you're with the weed community in any way, you get a participation ribbon. But you can see how Chapel Hill has changed over the years. I see these pictures of the old rednecks there, and they used to drive around in their pickup trucks with cigarettes behind their ears. Now you see all the stoners driving around on scooters with cannabis edibles behind their ears. But it hasn't been a smooth transition completely, because the steel-toed Crocs for construction work is still not worked out yet. But what is interesting is Martha Stewart is coming in. She has her own line of cannabis products, and surveys have showed that 87% of Americans did not realize that, which means 9 out of 10 Americans do not realize it's proper etiquette for your head to fall into the spaghetti plate from the right and be removed from the left. But things are working out for her up in New England. She's cut a deal with LL Bean, the main clothing manufacturer. They're going to open up a chain of vape shops and call it LL Bong. But not everything's going well in New England for them. A lot of the stoners are having a tough time remembering that it's Cape Cod, not Vape Cod. And it was really bad news because a lot headed to Vermont because they thought that you could get fried chicken for free munchies up there, until someone told them that the old white guy with white hair who wanted to give everything away for free in Vermont was Senator Sanders, not Colonel Sanders. Now, the one problem I still have with the stoner culture, and this shows my age, I've never understood the love of Pop-Tarts for munchies. You know, when you think about it, Pop-Tarts are the only food where you have to look at the color to know what flavor you're tasting. And the younger stoners will tell me, you know, it's great when you put ice cream on it. And I say, hey, so are ice cream cones, but nobody eats them by themselves. But then I will toy with them and their love of sugary cereal, and I'll say, hey, did you hear that Captain Crunch and Tony the Tiger, you know, Frosted Flakes, were murdered? And they go, oh my God, yeah. And I said, yeah, they were murdered by a serial killer. Hey, not all comedy's pretty up here, okay? Hey, but it's not all good news. It's going to be even worse for you. It's not all good news for the stoners with the munchies. The American Heart Association did a study that showed that smoking too much weed can cause heart diseases such as stroke. And the problem turned out in this test group that so many of the stoners were eating platters of nachos and cheese as munchies that their blood type tested out as Velveeta. But, you know, so what I try to do with the stoners, they're always so much younger than me. I try to show them I'm cool, and I say, hey, you know, there's no emoji for marijuana, so I have to use the salad bowl one. And the second one I'll point out, I'll say, hey, you know my Martha Stewart joke? You know, I have to use 2 emojis for that. I use the sleeping head and the spaghetti plate emoji, which is sort of like a double dog dare from A Christmas Story. And then I'll toy with them a little more, and I'll say, hey, you know that real estate reality show, Windy City Rehab? I thought that was going to be about the first detox center in Chicago. But you know what? Whenever I meet the young comedian, thank you very much.